The question at table 30 from David.
Yes, I have been an owner of 2 minor league baseball teams. One was a fantastic success and one was utter failure. The difference between the two boils down to one thing: money, working capital. So I'd be interested in, first of all, who is going to be the owners of this team? And secondly, who is going to provide the working capital? And what part will the Atlanta Braves play in this money game?
We're a part owner. We have a equity interest in the club. We share in the operating expenses. We share in the operating profits, and we also provide the players and the team side of that business, which, as I alluded to earlier, is roughly $1 million a year in expenditures that are not really part of the overall ballpark operations in itself. So, you know, our working capital to that degree is on an annual basis. Beyond that, you know, Mandalay is our partner, and the city of Wilmington is our partner, and all of you are our partners.
I respond almost exactly the same way. I mean, Mandalay is going to be the majority owner of the team. We have had tremendous success with many of our projects, and the Atlanta Braves owning and operating all but one of their minor league teams, that speaks for itself. As Mayor Saffo alluded to before, this is an opportunity for the city of Wilmington to partner with, and the private sector to partner with, 2 organizations that have done it other places and done it well. This isn't, hey, we want to use you as the petri dish. This is, for us, you know, it's another chapter in the book, one that, frankly, we think has the potential to be wildly successful. Now, no one's going to sit up here and say that we anticipate selling out 844 straight games like the Dragons did by the end of last season. But when I also hear people here in this community saying so excitedly, hey, what's that record for the Dragons? Let's break that here in Wilmington. The obvious, maybe not obvious answer to the question is, we wouldn't have taken the time, energy, resources, and made the commitment we have over the last 14 months to plow these fields unless we didn't think this was going to be a success. And as far as the difference between working capital and non-working capital, our ownership group, the Braves ownership group, you can never say never, but this is not going to fail. And it's not going to fail from our perspective in terms of the company owners, and it's not going to fail, we believe, from the city perspective in the sense that we're prepared to make a minimum 20 up to 30-year guaranteed lease commitment. That's pretty significant and not something that, as Mayor Saffo referred to before, has been even casually discussed. We want to become, the Braves in Mandalay want to become, as we have in our other communities, part of the fabric of this community. And I could go on and on. I don't want to dominate the conversation, but as we get out into the community and start talking about the different ways we become part of the fabric of the community, working with nonprofits, raising money for them hand in hand, doing things for underprivileged children, internship programs for the colleges, universities, and high schools here in the area. Those are all the kinds of things that I can, again, say from both of our perspectives, we've seen this happen. We know it will happen here. For example, on average, you're probably familiar with the fact that even on the major league level, local nonprofit organizations will run concession stands at the events from time to time. And then they get a piece of the action for that stand. On an annual basis, the groups that we work with in each of our markets take about $300,000 to $400,000 out of those efforts to put back into their nonprofit organizations in the community. Again, it's not $3 or $4 million, but it's $300,000 or $400,000. And on the minor league level, that's a pretty interesting number to think about. So it's not a transient, let's get in there, let's take what we can and leave. It's the exact opposite of that.
We run programs to get our players involved in the communities. They'll go speak at schools, they'll run clinics on the field, they'll visit corporate partners. They're engaged. And at their age, they're happily engaged.
And it's also their responsibility as professionals representing, as I said a moment ago, representing our organization, giving back to the community, engaging in the community in a willing and positive manner. And we think it has a very, very positive influence not only on their development, but on our organization, and strengthens us when our players get out into the community and start interacting with the fans and the citizens and the school kids and all of that in a positive way.
We have a question from table 41. Russell?
Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Wait just a second, I got your mic. Go.
On the economic development projections, how much does that involve ancillary events for the facilities, such as concerts, festivals, those kind of dollars that will be brought in, purely because the facility is there?
Correct. Russell brings up a very good point. I want to make certain that folks understand, because this is one of the things that I've talked about with some council members, I think all council members, is that we want the facility, it's a public facility, we want the facility to be used 365 days a year. Obviously, concerts are one that we know we could do that down there with 3,500 fixed seats, up to 6,000 with capacity. But not only that, I mean, we're looking at what Rich has showed us with other facilities that they manage, other things that it can be used for. Obviously, we want to try to generate as much revenue as we possibly can on this, and we want other partners. We want other people to also be able to use it, other baseball entities. We could have the CAA tournament here. We could have bigger teams here. We can have super regionals with college baseball. We want high school teams to be able to use it. We want this to be a public facility that is used, because we want to tie it in with the Riverwalk. We want to tie it in with the public park. We want this facility to be used. We want people to come downtown and be able to enjoy the experience. So that is going to be a big part of this. And when we're talking with our project manager and we're looking on return on investment, how much use can we have besides just baseball? Obviously, we have a baseball season of 70-some home games. We've got to be able to generate a certain amount of revenue outside of baseball also. So this is one of the things that we'll be looking at.
It will span all sorts, shapes, sizes, and description of events. In our ballparks, home plate weddings to high school graduations to car shows, chili fest, seafood fest, beer festivals,
Bingo.
concerts, bingo at the ballpark, boxing matches, whatever you can conjure up. And a lot of it is locally driven because different communities have different interests. But Boy Scout sleepovers, movie nights for the community. Anything that we can do to turn this facility into a community asset and part of the infrastructure of the public assembly facilities in the region is what this really is destined to become.
We use church services, holiday parties, everything that's been mentioned before. It runs the gamut.
We just won't have a rodeo.
Or
Because they're very
motocross.
concerned about the field too. So.
And Mayor Saffo touched on the college baseball element. We've had some very preliminary conversations with UNCW. We'd love to have them play some, if not all, of their games in this ballpark, and to bid on the CAA tournament, and to bid on sub and super NCAA regionals. Those are the kinds of things that when you talk about economic drivers, I mean, you don't have to close your eyes and imagine what it would be like to have the CAA tournament in downtown Wilmington, or taking it up a couple notches, an NCAA super regional there. Those types of things communities are bidding on like crazy because of the economic impact. And right now, you're not in a position to do that because you don't have the facility. This facility will be a very attractive lure for those types of events.
Question at table 51 from Bill.
Good morning. I think most of my question was answered because my question was about other events at the stadium. Your 350,000 projection of an audience, I have to assume, has other events built into it, because at 350,000 times 70 games, that's pretty much a sellout every game, and I can't believe you're projecting that up front. So what else is in your current projection to get you to 350,000?
Well, point of clarification, our projection is 5,000 average attendance over 70-plus games for baseball. 5,000 times 70, 350,000. There could be some playoff games. And then if you tie in college baseball games, high school baseball games, all the different types of events, multi-purpose events that we've talked about, you could host 2 or 3 concerts in this event over the course of a year and attract another 25 to 35,000 people. So exponentially, it can grow pretty quickly if you're aggressive and you can get the types of events booked that you want to get booked. A lot of them self-created and working with the community to determine what works best here. I don't want to steal from Trask Coliseum, but if there was a ballpark on the riverfront, I'd be sure interested in having Scotty McCreery play at the ballpark on a nice warm spring night for the Azalea Festival outside on the riverfront. That's a pretty nice picture to envision.
And me being the CFO, when I look at 520 bodies out here, I'm thinking there's already automatically 1,500 season tickets here.
And we'd like to have a home run derby here also. We have Trot Nixon's right up front here, and I know he can hit a couple out there. So that'd be a great thing to have here too.
One other thing I don't want to, and it may come out, but the Braves have committed to playing the opening game in Wilmington's new ballpark, a Major League exhibition game. So if all goes well, and I think the way most of us would like to see it go, in April of 2014, the first ball game in Wilmington's own ballpark will be a Major League exhibition game with the Atlanta Braves.
Who knows, not to put Bobby on the spot, but we might even convince him to manage the other team.
I promise I'll be here for Thirsty Thursday night, okay?
It's going to be on Thursday.
We have a lot of Bobby questions piling up here, so I'll make sure we get to a couple of table 12. Cliff?
Mr. Cox probably waited 20 years to ask this question since I sat on the third baseline when Otis Nixon bunted so late in the night against the Toronto Blue Jays in 1992. I know what my reaction was, so I'm curious to know what you said to him and after that.
What was the question, Ron?
Can you repeat the question?
The question was, what did you say to Otis Nixon in 1992 after he bunted against the Toronto Blue Jays?
Oh, I remember that. I don't know. Otis was a runner and all that, and didn't drive in a lot of runs, so it was probably okay. We didn't have a guy like Trot, we could send up there and hit the ball out of the ballpark.
So, question at table 18, Terry?
Yeah, it would seem that the resources of the county would be helpful during the evaluation process. Could you update us on where they might stand in being involved in the evaluation?
Well, I would love the county to be involved in the negotiations and the process, and they were there early on, and there's always that possibility. This obviously is going to have a tremendous impact on county revenues as much as anybody. And I know we have some commissioners here today, and I would always extend my hand to bring in this great organization and help us put this thing together. I felt that we've done a lot of good things together over the last couple of years, and it's unfortunate what happened in the breakdown of the negotiations, but I think this is a pretty serious economic development initiative for our community, and I think that they ought to be at the table. And hopefully they will be.